They saying Mike's about to blow though. Tell me something that I don't know. With the crowd bouncing like bogles, you can come.
What is up, everyone? Thank you so much for tuning in. This week I have the 2018 Mini Countryman SE Hybrid. This is Mini's very first attempt at a hybrid, and as you'll see in this full in-depth review, it's been an absolute blast. So let's go ahead and get started, guys. All right, so before I begin, you guys, I do want to give a big thank you to Mini USA for sending me this car for an entire week. If you go to my description, guys, it does have a link that leads you straight to the 2018 Mini Countryman Hybrid online configurator. You can go through there, spec out your dream Mini. My tester is going to be finished off in the melting silver color, which I think looks incredible. And this is a $500 option to get this paint coat. But if you guys look there, it's got a good amount of flake to it. And it almost looks like a tan gray color. It's pretty cool looking. I really like it a lot, especially from the side profile. It just really gives it a good look, especially with the black accents up top and the black wheels. I'll give you a closer look at these wheels over here. A really high gloss finish on these wheels. Of course, this is going to be all-wheel drive, so you have the all four. You've got this aluminum panel going all across the side. You've got the E over here, and then right on the other side, you are going to have your charger right over here. So if I push that, that'll open. That's where, of course, I will charge up the car. And coming along to the front, you do have your typical Mini look over here. So they definitely did a good job of keeping this looking like a Mini. This is, of course, the biggest Mini that they have made so far, and you can definitely tell. But you've got the circular mirror caps, you've got the nice little hood bulge in the middle, of course the Mini symbol, you've got this mesh grille. So this is based off of the Mini Cooper S model. And then, of course, you've got your aerodynamics over here, so you got air that kind of flows right through there. You've got your radiator over here, you got your intercooler right over here, if you guys can see that. And of course your lights, which do have an LED accent along the outside, so it's got a real nice looking LED that looks really good. You do have full LED lights on here, which do a great job of lighting up the road ahead of you, especially out here in Fort Worth, Texas, which is where I live. Does a very, very good job. And then of course you have your blacked out roof, which looks great. So I love that accent. You've got your aluminum roof rails right up here, which are pretty solid feeling. And coming along here to the back, guys, you've got your chrome accent along the tail lamps over here. Get your E symbol back here again, your Countryman. You got your single exhaust pipe right over there, so definitely a good looking car. So to start off, you do have multiple ways you can get inside of the car. You can use the key, which is going to be this right here. You guys can get a good look at it, but that's going to be your key. It's got your unlock, your lock in the middle, your trunk release on the back, and then you have a little button here to release your key. So if the battery on this dies or if the battery on the car dies, you can still unlock the car and get your belongings. So you can unlock it with this, and if you hold this button here, if you guys can see, so I'm going to hold the unlock button, and that will roll down all of your windows. So if it's a hot day, you can do that. But if I come up to the door, you also have your keyless entry. So right here on the door handle, you do have this little button. You're going to push that, and that'll lock. Push it one more time, that'll unlock. And so the first thing you notice is the interior on this looks very high quality. Of course, BMW does own Mini, so you would kind of expect that. But this is going to be just a full black interior. Looks really, really nice. And then coming along here to the door, guys, you do have a nice little interior lighting strip right over here. So right now it's kind of like a purple color, but you can change that, and I'll show you guys how to do that a little bit later in the video. And then coming along here, you do have your gas cap release, your trunk release. You've got a good amount of cubby space in here. so I can definitely fit a good sized water bottle here and then a few other things there. You kind of have this gray, piano gray texture coming along here, which looks pretty cool. You are going to have chrome window controls right here, window locks, mirror controls, and then coming up a little more, you do have your door handle right here, which it's funny because the lock and the unlock actually come out with the handle, which is just a typical funky Mini touch. And then down here you're going to have your aluminum kick plate, which has Mini Cooper S. The seats are going to be full manual seats, so at close to 40 grand I would expect at least some power seats, but it is what it is. I've actually gotten used to it. It's not that big of a deal. You've got your thigh extension right here. You have perforations running all along the inside of the seat, which if you guys can see that. Perforations on the headrest. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and hop in. Very easy to start. All you have to do is put your foot on the brake and you're going to push this little button right here to start. And so being a hybrid, you don't actually hear the car start up. Shut the door. Door, of course, does have a very solid feel when you shut it. Turn this down a little bit. But yeah, because it is a hybrid, it starts up very quietly, so you kind of never know if the car's on. But you get used to it, especially after a week. And now starting over here, guys, you are going to have your typical lighting controls. You have your fog lamps over here, your automatic, and you can switch between all your different settings right there. You do have your interior dim lighting, which is going to be located right here. Your vents, which are pretty cool. You can turn them left and right to lock and unlock the vents. And it has a real satisfying like resistance and a click to it. Feels very high quality. I mean, everything in here feels very, very high quality, which I like a lot. And of course, you're gonna have your steering wheel right here, which is a very good quality steering wheel. It's got this huge grip extension right up top, very, very thick. It's got this nice contrast stitching coming along here, if you guys can see that. And of course, you're gonna have your cruise control buttons over here to the left, and all of your Bluetooth and volume controls to the right. Very simple, I really like that. And then of course your Mini symbol right in the middle with a nice chrome surround going there. Your gauges, typical Mini, so if I do undo this, you can telescope it and you can go up and down, and the gauges do move with the steering wheel. Your fuel is going to be located right here. And of course, being a hybrid, you do have this kind of goofy setup. So over here to the left, it's going to be your power gauge, and these yellow are going to represent basically how much battery life you have left. And then right now it's on the ready because the car is on, so it is ready to drive. And once you drive, you have your power band right here. And then the e-boost over here, once you put it in sport mode, which I'll get to a little bit later, the e-boost basically gives you like an electric boost of energy, which kind of helps push you back in your seat a little more. It's pretty cool. Over here, if you hit this button, that'll toggle through all of the settings right there. And you guys can see here my week with it, I've averaged about 32 mpg average. I would expect a lot more, but that is mostly city driving that I've been doing. So that's actually pretty impressive for city driving. So can't really complain there. You're gonna have your left and right toggles over here. One cool thing about that, if you blink left or blink right at night, the lights on here will actually, there's a separate light that will actually shine to the left or shine to the right to help you see depending on which way you're going. And if you turn the steering wheel left, turn the steering wheel right, it'll do the same thing. Pretty cool. And then over here to the right, you of course have your windshield wipers, and then over here you are going to have your rear wiper. So if you guys can see up here, it's going to be your rear wiper. And while we're up here, guys, you're going to have your controls. So you have your interior illumination on the outsides. This will turn on basically all of your interior illumination. And right over here, this is how you control the ambient lighting. So you can actually toggle that, and you can switch between blue, I don't know if you guys can see the colors, but you have kind of like a turquoise color, green, all this kind of cool stuff, which is really neat. And then you have your display right here is a touchscreen. So this is Mini's new updated infotainment system. It's basically like an iDrive based system. Works really well. I'll get into that in its entirety in just a second. Volume controls, different controls here. Now, one cool thing, these right here are actually kind of like a touch thing. So if I kind of just glide my finger over it, it is touch, which is really weird because it's also a button, and it just, but you know, like I said, this car has so many crazy little quirks, it's kind of cool. But coming down here, you do have your vent controls. One cool thing, so the light up here, if I turn the fan controls, it'll actually go to hot, which is to the right, and if I turn it back, it'll go back to cold. So you can see the cold and the hot over here. And if I do the fan, it does the same thing with the fan. If I turn it all the way up, all the way down. Also does it with the volume, I believe. Let me see here. I don't think the volume's on. But if the radio were on, it would do it with the volume. Looks pretty neat. You also have your heated seats down here. AC controls. Coming a little bit down here, you have your parking. So right here, you are going to have your self-parking. Now, it does only parallel park for you, and I do have a little video you guys can check out of that right here. And of course, coming along here, you're going to have your eDrive, which if I switch between that, it'll take me to, if I go to the very bottom, that's save. So save, it'll basically save all your battery charge for a later time. So if you're driving on the highway, going to a city, you can use your gas motor on the highway. Once you get into the city, you can switch on eDrive and just tootle around town, dead silent. If I go up one, it's going to automatically switch back and forth between electric and gas motors, and then max eDrive is for just pure electric driving. So you can switch between those. I usually leave it on auto. Of course, your start and stop button, traction control, and this is actually going to control your heads-up display. So you do have a heads-up display, which is right here, if you guys can see that. And if I push that button down, it'll actually make your heads-up display go down. So I do like that you can make that go up and down, so you don't always have to look at it if you don't want to. Coming down here, you do have a good amount of storage space over here. I can probably fit my phone in there. I have an iPhone 6, so I can fit that right in there. USB auxiliary, and then a little 12 volt right in here. Cup holders do a very good job, so I was able to fit 2 big gulps in this bad boy. So if you're watching this and you live in America, it passes the big drink test. Coming right here, you have this very cool looking shifter, and then if I switch it into reverse, you do have your backup camera that comes up. It does have your guidance line, so if I turn the steering wheel, it will turn with the steering wheel, which is pretty nice. And if I bump this little guy this way, you can actually go through here and kind of mess with all your brightness, contrast, settings, all this kind of cool stuff. And you do have, of course, your sensors which come up as well. Coming down here, this is how you're going to toggle between your sport and your green modes. So if I toggle it over here to the right, as you'll see, it'll show green. So if I click eDrive, it actually has a little animation that comes up, and it shows you which drive wheels are powering the car. So it'll show you if the gas motor is working, if the electric motor is working. And another cool thing, if you're driving on the highway and you have it in green mode, you lift your foot off of the gas while you're on the highway, it'll go into what's called freewheeling mode, which is basically a coasting mode. So it essentially switches the car into neutral, and it kind of just coasts. That way you don't have any engine braking or anything like that, and it's also charging the battery while you do that. So that's pretty cool. And if you switch it to the middle, it starts in mid, so the car will always start in mid. You do have that. It's a good mix between the electric and the gas motor. And then sport is basically, it puts the electric motor in its most aggressive setting, and it puts the gas motor in the most aggressive setting. The steering tightens up and the throttle response is at its best. So very fun mode. Of course, I'll go through that later on in the video when I take it out for a drive. Coming down here, you do have your e-brake. You're going to have your dial, your pad right here. You've got all your corresponding buttons, so your menu, media, map, nav, your back button right there, and then your option button right there. So since we're on the topic of that, let's go ahead and go through this screen right here. So if I hit this menu button, you've got about 6 different screens you can go to. I don't have my phone connected, so I can't do either of these, but of course it'll show like your phone, your notifications, things like that. Mini connected, if I click on here, that's where I can do things like call Mini Assist if I have any questions, manage all my devices, everything like that. My Mini is where I can go through and do all of my settings, so my vehicle settings, door locks, speed warnings, anything you think you would need to control in this car, you can control through this screen. So all of your displays, you can adjust each display, so you can adjust the instrument panel, center instrument panel, the heads-up display, which it's not giving me that option because I have it down right now. Your units, tone, all kinds of cool stuff. Driver profiles, vehicle status, you can do all of your oil changes. You have a owner's manual here, which is a video owner's manual, which is pretty cool. Your navigation, which does come up. So once you are navigating somewhere, it will actually show you in the heads-up display all of your navigation, which is pretty cool. So you can always see that it's always right in front of you, and I like how wide the heads-up display is, so it's not a very thin or small piece of glass. Best example I can give is a few of the Mazdas use it, and I like it, but I do like this one a little bit better. I would ultimately rather have it, you know, shining up on the windshield, but this works pretty well. And of course you have your radio, media settings, satellite radio, AM, FM, aux, and then of course I have my phone, and my fiance has her phone hooked up as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. One cool thing that I do like though, if I were to enter a new destination, enter an address, click right here, you can actually use this touchpad and you can kind of just draw on it just like that. So if I come up here, you guys can see, so if I draw a W, does a very good job, but my handwriting kind of sucks sometimes, so but that's about it for that, guys. It's very simple, real easy to use, so y'all will definitely appreciate that. Coming down here though, you are going to have a very soft touch armrest, which is got some very high quality leather on here. If you lift that up, you do have wireless charging, so I was able to put my brother-in-law's phone in there, and it does take a few seconds. He has an Android, but it will charge, and of course it'll light up when it does charge, and it's got this cool little doodad here to kind of hold your phone in place. Click it in, fold that up, and you do have storage space under here. I've got my GoPro in here, but you also have another USB located right in there as well. So, and of course another look at your seats. That's pretty much going to be it for the interior, guys. I know coming up here you've got your basic vanity mirrors. And so yeah, let's go ahead and hop in the back. Okay, so coming to the back of the 2018 Mini Countryman, you do have a good amount of room. I've got the seat set to my position. I am 6 feet tall, so I have about 2.5, 3 inches of leg room, which is actually pretty good for this size of a car. You can also recline the back seats. So there's a little strap. If I pull that, the seats can go from 1, 2, and then 3 positions back. You don't have cup holders back here, so you do have to pay a little bit extra to get the cup holders, which I think is pretty crazy, especially considering, like I said, this car is almost $40,000. You have your mat pockets here. You have 2 air vents, which do a good job of blowing cold air. And you have very big storage cubbies. So both doors, you've got a good amount of storage space, and you can fit a lot of stuff into these door cubbies, which I think is one of the best things about this car is the storage space. And headroom, I think without my hat on, I probably have about 2.5 to 3 inches of headroom. So definitely very tall person friendly back here. So it's a good sized car, and the inside is a lot bigger than you would think just by looking at it from the outside. But that's about it for the back seat, you guys. So let's go ahead and check out the trunk. All right, you guys, so coming along to the back, you are going to have a little button right behind there. It's gonna open the hatch. You can get the automatic lift gate, although this tester does not have that. And as you can see, there's a good amount of space back here. You do have a cargo cover right up here, which is a real thick, nice kind of felt lined cargo cover, which you can remove and take that off if you want to. You've got a good amount of storage back here. I have my tripod back here. You are going to have your charging cable, which comes right in here. It's all magnetic, so that kind of clicks right there, which is pretty cool. You've got all your latches, your interior lighting over here as well. You can fold these seats down. So once you fold these seats down, as you guys can see, it's got a decent amount of space. Underneath here, you are going to have a little extra storage space. And then if I lift that up just a little bit, you have a little area underneath there where you can kind of see the battery pack and all that good stuff. But pretty much it for the trunk, you guys. Let's go ahead and check out under the hood. All right, you guys, so right under this massive hood, if you guys can see, that thing is huge. And you have your tail lamp cutouts, which looks kind of funny. But you are going to have two motors in here. So you have your gas motor up front. You got your electric motor powering the rear wheels. So your electric motor is just going to power the rear wheels. Your gas motor is going to power the front wheels. So this gas motor is going to be BMW/Mini's turbocharged 3-cylinder, and you're going to have your electric motor powering the back. Now, if that setup sounds familiar, this is very similar to what the BMW i8 uses as its powertrain. Now, I'm not sure if they are exactly the same, but it does still have the turbo 3-cylinder and the electric motor. However, in this particular one, the combined output is 221 horsepower, 284 torque, and you definitely feel that torque shove, as you guys will see in just a second. And of course, you have your strut bar coming right up here to kind of keep everything nice and stable. And it's real tight, nice little package. So let's go ahead and take it out for a drive, guys. Now, I must admit, Mini has done a great job on this car. The electric drive is super smooth. Once you put it into sport mode, however, the all-wheel drive really works with the gas and the electric motor and gives you a nice push in your seat. I will say the only problem that I had was finding a good working charging station. Now, most people will charge at home, but do keep in mind that finding a good charging station may be inconvenient at times. Okay, so this is me driving in the Mini Countryman SE Hybrid. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to switch into maximum E-drive mode. So as you guys will hear, it's just so quiet. All you hear is this tiny little like electric whine, and it sounds like a spaceship. It's so cool. So very cool. But since we are on a nice little back road right here, I'm gonna switch it into sport mode. I do want to do a quick little acceleration run for you guys, because this thing is quick in sport mode. So I'm going to stop. We're in sport. I'm going to turn off my traction control. That way it doesn't try to pull power if the wheels spin. As soon as DSC is completely active, the gas motor kicks on. I'm going to do it in this little manual mode just because I found that to be a lot quicker. Now, this doesn't have a launch control, so I'm just going to put my foot in the brake, give it a little bit of gas, try to spool up the turbo a little bit, and here we go. This thing is quick, guys. It's so crazy. And it corners really well. It is a Mini. I mean, it drives incredibly well. And of course, that all-wheel drive helps. and it's a blast on back roads, guys. I'm telling you, it is a blast. If you think for whatever reason getting a hybrid is going to dilute the driving experience, that is not the case, especially with this car. And that is one thing that Mini really wants to strongly advertise with this car, is they say this is probably one of the most exciting and fun to drive hybrids that you can get without going to a BMW i8, for example, without spending all that money. This thing just takes off, and then that's 60. So it's pretty quick. I mean, this says about 6.7 to 60. I think that's underrated. I think it's a little bit quicker. And you know, this is a weird car. You know, this sits right below the John Cooper Works version, and the John Cooper Works version is only faster than this by 0.2 seconds. So the JCW will do 6.5 to 60. This will do 6.7. Like I said, I still think that 6.7 is a little underrated, but I don't know. I feel like if I had to choose between the two, in my particular circumstance, I would probably go for this over the JCW. Now, I am a huge car enthusiast. I love the little pops and bangs and crackles that you get from the JCW. I love the fact that you can still get a stick shift. But if it were for everyday driving, everyday living, a good mix, I feel, would be this. It gives you just that dynamic feel, that high quality feel, and you've got that futuristic feel as well, because you have the hybrid setup. But it's a lot different than most hybrids in the sense that it just gives you a more performance side of what a hybrid setup is. All right, you guys, so I'm going to switch this into sport mode and give you guys some spirited driving. Here we go. I don't know, I think this is faster than a John Cooper Works. I've never driven a John Cooper Works, so I guess I can't really say that for sure, but just based off of where I'm sitting right now, this thing is very, very quick. Alright guys, so I'm going to put the theories to the test, and we're going to see if this can hit 60 quicker than the 6.7 that Mini says it will. So I've got my timer right here. There are 2 people in the car. Automatic mode, traction control is off, and it is in sport mode. So I'm just gonna foot in the brake, foot in the gas, let off the brake. So here we go. And 60.
Wow.
What was that?
5.75.
5.75? Are you kidding? No way. I don't know if y'all can see that. 5.75, 5.75. That's pretty crazy. Well, you guys, that is going to wrap up this video. If you liked it, please hit the like button below. Also, be sure to click up to the left to subscribe to my channel. Click up to the right if you guys want to see some more videos. Thank you so much for watching, you guys.